Okay, so let me do this. I'll just record this beginning and then we'll have a discussion time. So again, make sure you review your classroom expectations. Nobody's perfect, but there are expectations. We're willing to work with you to meet those expectations. But the key is just, if people are respectful of their classmates, respectful of their teachers, they'll be just fine, okay? And then do your best to participate in class. I'm just going to introduce this concept. I'll stop the recording and then we'll have a discussion. So we are using Science in the Scientific Revolution as the text for this class. This is 4th to 7th grade science. This book, honestly, should be read by everybody, even if they're college professors, because it talks about just the history of science, which I think is a very important thing. Okay, so the year is 1450. In 1450, or right there about in Germany, in Mainz, Germany area, there was a man by the name of Johannes Gutenberg. Gutenberg was, in one sense, trying to get rich, somebody says. And so he was trying to find a way to make the printable, a printing machine of a sort that would reduce the amount of time to take notebooks or textbooks or books that have been written, and to be able to duplicate them quickly. Prior to 1450, there was actually a method of you take the notebook that you're interested in or the book you're interested in, and you have to copy it word for word. If you wanted a Bible, you borrow someone's Bible and you copy word for word what that Bible said. That's a lot of work. That takes hours. Some people, that was their job. They just copied notes all day. And if back then, there was only a few universities in the world, because prior to this, in the Western world, one of the first universities is in a place called Bologna in Italy. So that's one of the first universities. Back in the day, a lot of those universities were actually places for monasteries. They were like monasteries connected to these universities. So Italy, England, Spain, these are some of the first places we see universities in the Western world. So imagine back, if you wanted to get a notebook or a book, you had to copy it. In 1450, Johannes Gutenberg gave us the printing press. So we have Gutenberg's printing press coming around, okay? Now you keep moving. This time in Europe is called like the Dark Ages. But Gutenberg comes, we get the printing press. In 1517, a man by the name of Martin Luther comes, we get the Reformation happens, which is we get the Reformation during this season. There's other people that are involved. But what Martin Luther did was he made the Bible more readily available to people. So, no, this is 1517. So Martin Luther does work, and it basically lays the groundwork for the Bible being more readily available. Because prior to this, a lot of common people couldn't read the Bible. So you get the printing press. The first book that was printed was actually the Bible. Then you get the work of Martin Luther, who lays the groundwork for the Reformation. He does something here they call the 95 Theses. And you can look these up online. There's so much you can look up online that people don't even look up these days, that good stuff they can look up. Most times people are using the internet for nonsense, but you should use it for good. Anyway, so 95 Theses comes, so he gets more common people reading the Bible. Okay, this is very important in our story, because then prior to or around this time, a man by the name of Nicholas Copernicus, who was an astronomer, was also doing work. And one of the ideas he came up with is something called the heliocentric view of the solar system. The heliocentric view says that the sun is at the center, and then there's planets going around the sun. The other view of this was called a geocentric view, where the Earth was the center of the solar system, and then the sun and everything else was supposed to go around the Earth. So Copernicus did this work. He wrote a book, and then it was called, this revolution was called the Copernican Revolution. So you have the printing press, you have the 95 Theses, you have the work of Copernicus. Now the world is in an interesting state. Here's what happens. So we come from the 1400s. At this point, we only have universities like Oxford and Cambridge, which by God's grace, we actually went to those schools last year. And you guys are welcome to join us next time we do this. We went to Oxford University in England, Cambridge University, and then we went to the University of Edinburgh, which is also a very good university. So then we have the 1400s, we get the printing press. We have, in 1517, we get the Reformation. And then in 1550, we get the book by Copernicus. In 1650, it actually happened shortly before. In 1642, Isaac Newton was born. But by 1650, if you look at this stage here, a lot of good things had set the stage, so that by 1650 and beyond into the 1700s, we see a spike in scientific discovery. We see this huge transformation in the world of science. And that gives rise to the season called the scientific revolution. So then the question becomes, what caused the scientific revolution? There's a lot of theories out there. One of my theories is that the printing press set the stage for the availability of books and knowledge coming out fast. And then Martin Luther, making the Bible readily available, got people thinking right about theology and about the world that God has made. And it just created an opportunity for more people to be literate and more people to study truth. And then Copernicus does his work. Now, also during this time, there's questions about the age of exploration that happens. But I think these three things set a very strong foundation. So you could call it 1, 2, and 3. These three things caused a big boost in scientific discovery. So on the cover of your book, they have a man by the name of Galileo Galilei. Galileo Galilei was an Italian astronomer, and he is very famous for his telescope. He's very famous for a lot of discoveries that came. You're also going to be learning about people like Isaac Newton. You're going to learn about people like Johannes Kepler briefly. And so we are going to have, there's 90 lessons in the book. Our goal is to do about 3 lessons a week. And so we're going to take the book from the beginning. We're going to study Copernicus, Brahe, Johannes Kepler, Galileo Galilei, and Newton. It's going to be exciting, okay? This course is focused on the scientific revolution. We're starting from let me see the exact dates that we're going to use here. We're starting from 1473 or about 1450 with the printing press, and we're going to end around 1710, okay? So that is the timeline we're covering. We're going from about 1400s to early 1700s. This class is a science class, but it's also the history of science. And then it's going to have a little bit on the history and philosophy, the philosophy of science. What is the implications of believing certain scientific theories? But more so, just think of this as a history of science class and a science class where we talk about different principles. Okay, I'm excited. I'm going to clean the board. We're going to have some discussion, and then we're going to work on lesson 1.